Well, if tomorrow never comes, will the Suns know how much I loved them? Did they try in every way to score on every play, but ultimately they didn't? Sweep. Game, set, series. The Phoenix Suns put together their best effort of the first round, but ultimately 4 in a row is how they end their season. 4 in a row. After fighting and clawing and scratching not to be in the play-in, 4 in a row is how it ends. A sweep at the hands of the Minnesota Timberwolves, a team that's never swept anybody in their postseason history, a team that hasn't won a series since 2004. But why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't the Suns go out this way? It's the Suns. I don't know what else to expect. I thought that this was going to be a loss. I was happy to see the fight of this team, but at least we're out of our misery. Right, Matthew? Out of our misery. Completely out of our misery. Unmuting ourselves and out of our misery. I'm in misery.
Hey guys, everybody here live from Footprint Center where the Suns were, on the tightrope there against the Wolves, and we'll pull through. Yeah, that ovation and stuff you heard earlier when I jumped on was where Anthony Edwards out here, MVP chants as he walked off the court after his final interview heading into the next round. So, I don't know, man. I feel like maybe it's from a medication that says meth on it. Maybe I am high on meth, but it just feels so fucking weird. Even if they were to win this game, it didn't feel right. This is just a fucked up team.
It was all season, and it wouldn't be right if we did this alone. So welcome to the stage, two Suns Geek. We were here together when Bradley Beal was traded to the Suns. We're here together when Bradley Beal throws the game away and the Suns ultimately get swept at the hands of the Timberwolves. How you doing, Geek?
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Again.
I've come to talk with you again. Oh, God. It's finally over. It's finally over. Thank God. Thank you, NBA gods.
Yeah, it's over. We'll talk about this game because I do think that there were some interesting things to come out of this game. But you could see the shirt that I'm wearing with Book, Sniper, and Brad, and they're all skeletons because they're all dead. This series is over. This season is over. This weird season full of twists and turns, ups and downs, tumultuousness, and songs sung by yours truly. It's over. On to the next one, I guess. I don't know. I wouldn't say that I'm necessarily cell-shocked. But that being said, it is what it is. So, a 6-point loss, the closest game that they had this series. I'm going to have to drink on this one. Celebrate the fact that Bud Ice, hell yeah,
bro, it's a tall can kind of night.
Yes, Matthew's got that Dasani. Let's pop them and celebrate the fact that this fucking season's over.
Hallelujah!
Oh man, cheers! Let's start the show. To 116, the Phoenix Suns lose by only 6 points to the Minnesota Timberwolves, but it is a sweep. It is a winless. Are we the only team that didn't win a game in the postseason? Is that correct? I think every other team has at least won one game. We are the only team to not win a postseason game. Embarrassing, frustrating, and thankful that it's over. I'm not going to lie. Real quick, before I ask Matthew a question. Matthew, do you have the scoreboard by chance? You don't, do you?
Yeah, it should be there.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't upload it. Hold on. I forgot to upload it.
Well, you upload that. Suns Fever 83, one of our elite jamsters, $5 in the super chat says, gentlemen, thank you for the great content again this season. Can't talk Suns right now. Watch tomorrow, brothers. Hey, thanks for hanging out with us, everybody and anybody who happens to be joining us, whether you're watching along live or listening at a later time. Truly appreciate you doing so. My name is John Voida, managing editor of Bright Side of the Sun. I'm joined by Matthew Lissy, who's live from the Footprint Center representing Bright Side of the Sun. And of course, if it has to do with the Phoenix Suns, he's going to make a video about it. His name is Suns Geek, and he's coming to you live from the friendly confines of Suns Hell. And that's where we're all at right now, just kind of hanging out and going, you know what? You know, as Joseph Casillas says in the chat, so much hurt. There's a lot of hurt. There's a lot of pain. There's a lot of frustration. It's ultimately over. And it brings me to my first question.
Matthew, I've got to ask.
Matthew, I got to ask, and Suns Geek as well, did you even want to win this game?
Yeah, waking up today, I felt, the team still had a chance. That's just the way I am, though. To be honest, that's the way I am. I had a lot of emotion driving here. I'm like, I just want to come back for Game 6. I want this to be possible. I want them to be able to turn things around. But, deep down, obviously, you kind of feel like it's not going to happen. This Minnesota Timberwolves team is just way too fucking good. Even when this game was close today, you could just tell, the Wolves would just pull away from it. They had the better players, the better shot makers, the better playmakers in the game, not making the big mistakes towards the end. But I definitely want to win, man. I know this season's been frustrating. I know it sucks to watch this team at times, but you want to believe in them. You want them to win. You want to win it for Booker. With everyone talking about Frank Vogel being fired and Booker looking somewhere else maybe after a year or so, and the Beal getting off his team, let's just see if they can pull through with one win and see what happens. So I definitely wanted them to win. What about you, Suns? What do you think?
Oh boy, I did want them to win. I wouldn't be a Phoenix Suns fan if I didn't. But the problem is, I even tweeted this, and then Matthew, you said at the very start of the podcast, even if the Phoenix Suns would have won, it took all of that to win. And, I know there's that famous Vin Diesel quote, if you win by an inch or you win by a mile, you still win. But still, it just felt different. Even if we would have won, man, it wouldn't have felt like a win. And with the way that Anthony Edwards played and dominated this game, even if we forced a Game 5, hell no are we beating them on their home court in Game 5. So,
this is one of those ones where it felt weird. It felt weird, as Matthew mentioned, waking up this morning. It felt weird waking up this morning. And yes, am I a Suns fan? Absolutely. But I hadn't seen anything in the first 3 games of this series that told me that we could come back against this team. This wasn't being down 3-0 and we lost one on a buzzer beater and we lost another one by 5 points and there was a couple of bad turnovers that occurred. It wasn't that feeling. We got whooped by double digits in every game. And part of me was saying, you know what? If the season ends tonight, I'm okay with it. Because as I stated on March 4th, that this team ain't it. And I have had acceptance with that for quite some time. So losing today was just another part of that acceptance and being, you know what, let's just move on and enjoy watching the playoffs from afar, knowing that we're not going to be in it. Let's feel the pain that we feel every year being eliminated in some way, shape, or form, whether it's from making the postseason or getting to the postseason and ultimately losing in that capacity. No season has ever ended in the postseason and our final game was a win. That's just life as a Phoenix Suns fan. So why not just rip the Band-Aid off, get it over with? Don't get my hopes up high. Don't make me sit around for 2 days and think that we can go back to Minnesota and play a team that just out-physicaled us, out-coached us, outplayed us in every facet of the basketball game. Even tonight, as we mentioned, this was an amazing night for the Suns. They finally kind of broke out of the shell, if you will, and it was behind the efforts of one Devin Armani Booker.
Big Dick Booker.
So Booker tonight was fantastic in this game. Ends up going just shy of 50 points. He ends with 49 points on only 13 of 21 shooting. 21 shots to make 49 points. It's because he was 20 of 21 from the free throw line, ladies and jamsters. He was also 3 of 5 from beyond the arc. He had 6 assists. He had 5 total rebounds, only 2 turnovers. It was easily the best game that we've seen from Devin Booker. Why didn't we get this earlier in the series, guys?
Honestly, for me, it's probably just must win for him coming out. For pregame, you could just see he was really vibing and feeling good. We saw Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant. It just didn't feel right with those guys. Obviously, KD had a good game, but Booker, you could tell from the beginning it was going to be his game to win because it had to be. He can't go out in a sweep, losing a game and then only scoring about 20 points again and struggling from the field, struggling to find himself offensively against the defense of Anthony Edwards or any of those guys attacking him. So he used their length as leverage. He uses their length to get to the line, to draw these fouls, as we're doing a rah-rah down there. I don't know what that's for, but I think it was important for him to get this game. Of course, it's one of those, though, where you're going to hear about on Twitter, you're going to hear about it everywhere. He had almost a 50-point game, the 40-plus point game, coming in a loss. That's his thing, and that's the frustrating thing to see. It's not his fault at all, but no one's going to look at they lost the game because Durant didn't score 40 or else because Beal had a fucking shit game. They're going to look at this and say Beal or Booker still scored 49 and the Suns lost the game and they got swept. Look at that, ha ha ha, that's what it's going to be. And on the other side, Anthony Edwards gets the 40 piece and he gets the victory. So that's how this game I feel like is going to be looked at.
Yeah, I mean, Devin Booker did all that he possibly could, and I'm just glad that he showed up because this could have been a repeat of, the Nuggets series, game 6 and 7 last year, and, the embarrassing, Dallas Mavericks game and everything, and those little cliche narratives of elimination game Booker and his stats and everything. At least he showed up. At least Kevin Durant showed up, and I'm sure we're going to talk about him a little bit later, but I'm just glad that he showed up. And I know that that's not really the best analysis and everything, but it's true. He showed up. He played with heart. He literally did everything he could. But basketball is a 5-on-5 game. Basketball is a team sport, and the Phoenix Suns team could not get it done.
Yeah, and I think that as a Suns fan, because we've been having these conversations throughout this series, watching the young, talented Anthony Edwards take flight and dominate in this series, seeing from afar SGA put his stamp on this postseason, seeing Jokic, who's a year younger than Devin Booker, have the impact that he's had in the postseason already and already have a championship, knowing that the next wave of superstars is on the horizon. Matthew wrote an excellent piece for Bright Side of the Sun talking about how Booker's kind of in purgatory right now because he's standing still while the water's rising around him, and he's just kind of standing still, being drowned out by it. So to see him perform in the manner that he did today, although it's in a losing effort, although it's in a frustrating manner and a frustrating season, and his attitude hasn't been that killer Booker that we've grown to know and love throughout his career here in Phoenix, it does soften the blow, if you will. The 49 points, you have to remember, again, there was that narrative entering today in which Devin Booker in elimination games was absolutely horrendous. He scored a total in his first 3 elimination games, game 6 of the 2021 NBA Finals, game 7 of the second round against the Dallas Mavericks in 2022, and then last season in 2023 in game 6 against the Denver Nuggets, scored a total of 42 points, a total, and he had 49 tonight. He was 1 of 14 from beyond the arc in all of his previous 3 elimination games. He tripled his output in one game tonight. So by doing that, by passing not only just Charles Barkley, but Walter Davis as well in the Suns' all-time postseason history point totals, moving into third most, trailing only Kevin Johnson and Steve Nash, and having his 8th 40-plus point game since 2021 in the postseason, it doesn't help, but it does soften the blow, in my opinion, because it reminds you that as we enter this offseason and everybody's talking about the roster changes that need to occur and probably won't, trade Devin Booker should not cross your lips, at least in my opinion. Matthew?
No, it shouldn't. But when you're talking about Beal, we'll talk about him a little bit later. Him being on this team next year along with Kevin Durant, and they're going to obviously try to do their best to fill in the gaps here or there. It's going to be difficult for Booker to stick around. If this is going to be the same thing next year, it's painful for the fans to try to get up for next season. can you imagine having me and Booker and be like, oh shit, this is going to be next year again? And then Beal and I are just not going to work together. And then Beal's going to show his frustration again. He's going to want out of here. I'm not saying it's next year. He's going to want out of here, of course, before the Suns ever trade him. And the Suns probably still won't trade him. That's the worst part. Is you don't want the guy that really brought all this to Phoenix. Of course, Matt Ishbia did his part by putting together a tremendous year outside of the on the court shit. Everything else around it was he nailed it. But now you have a guy in Booker who is a franchise that might want out of here. That's gonna be that drives me fucking crazy. That drives me insane. I never wanted that to happen, but I feel like this might be the only way to do that for him to want a title, to maybe want to join someone else, and just kind of fit in at the shooting guard position and be himself again.
Devin Booker is not going anywhere. I literally wasted my free time because I love all of you Jamsters and all you fellow Suns geeketeers and everything. I literally wasted my own time. What was it, on Saturday? And did like almost an hour live show just talking about all these stupid Devin Booker, quote, trade rumors and these stupid, national media and all these podcasters who are trying to get clicks and everything, just talking shit about Devin Booker. He is not going anywhere. Now, again, Bradley Beal, that might be a different conversation. And everybody else on this roster, maybe besides KD, but even then, I don't think the big three is going everywhere. But, and this is coming from like a Nurkic fan and a Royce O'Neal fan. Everybody but the big three should pretty much be available. You know what I mean? And I know there's contracts and all the salary cap and everything, but it did not work. We failed. We lost. So Matt Ishbia, if James Jones is still our GM and everything, if Frank Vogel and all them are coaching staff, they have to figure it out. There is no off season for this team. You know what I mean? They need to figure it out because yikes.
They need to figure it out because of the embarrassing manner in which they lost.
Preach.
Because these were conversations that we were having during the season in which what would you define as an acceptable exit for this team if they didn't win a championship? Was it an NBA Finals appearance? Was it a Western Conference Finals appearance? Was it an appearance in the second round? If you told us that we would be ousted in the first round and not win a playoff game, then yeah, heads absolutely should and must roll due to the performance of this team. Everything's on the table, but know that as a second apron team, there are unbelievable limitations to how the Suns can actually execute their roster changes next year. They don't have a ton of options at their disposal. That's why they signed Grayson Allen to a long-term deal before letting him hit the free market, because they can't do things like that. They're not going to have the ability to stack contracts. They're not going to have the ability. I mean, it's very restrictive. In a time in which the Suns finally decide to spend some money, we enter the most restricted time possible for this roster, for this franchise, and for this team and for this fan base to root on. So, it's going to be something that we will definitely talk about throughout this offseason. And just because the season's ending doesn't mean the Suns Jam Session podcast goes away. I know that we go live after every single Suns game, but we also do weekly pods through the offseason because there's still plenty to talk about. There's roster construction. There's the NBA draft, in which the Suns have the 22nd overall pick. There's Summer League. There's the Olympics this summer, with both Devin Booker and Kevin Durant to get good and worn out from before we start the next season. So plenty to talk about this offseason about roster construction. Do want to focus a little bit more on these games and some of this game and some of the things that we saw. But real quick, a shout out to the Jamsters and the Geek Squad who are watching along live on both channels, both the Suns Jam Session podcast channel as well as the Suns Geek channel. Again, if you're new here, please head to our YouTube pages. Give us the thumbs up. It's the best way to show your support to our channels. Go ahead and subscribe as well. And if you hit that bell notification, it'll let you know when we go live, which again is very varying during the off-season run that is ahead of us. We have a $5 super chat, $4.99. I guess YouTube keeps that penny. From Scott Klaus, he says, can we all agree that this season was the worst? Glad it's over. The Suns Jam Session is consistently great. Can't say that about the Suns. Thank you for your kind words there, Scott. Really do. Alejandro Rosales, $4.99. He says, I'll be honest, I didn't know one about your podcast till Twitter, but I'm subscribing. No matter what, go Suns, from Fresno, California. All right, Alejandro. Actually, my sister lives in Fresno. and my nephew Matthew. So enjoy Fresno and don't enjoy the Suns. Suns Fever, $5. Brother, thank you for the great content this season. Looking forward to your insights moving forward. So thank you for that, Suns Fever. We have Biva, Wolves fan here. Parents have been Suns fans for 40 years. So we had to get you guys, but hopefully you'll be back next year. Good games. No, they weren't good games, and I appreciate you being as cordial as you are. It wasn't a good game. It wasn't good games. It wasn't a good series. You guys whooped our ass, and I'm rooting for you guys moving forward because I do like Anthony Edwards. And then lastly, 1999 in the super chat from Seth Logan Hopkins. Thank you, Seth. Consensus opinion, we're glad to be out of our misery. Haven't felt like this ever. Yeah, it's a very weird feeling tonight as the Suns season is officially over. And I think that a lot of us are kind of in this good riddance kind of mindset as it pertains to how the season has gone. Looking at Kevin Durant tonight.
Who the heck are you?
I'm Kevin Durant. You know who I am. Y'all know who I am.
Did anybody see a sniper? Did anybody see anything?
I'm one of the best players to ever play the game.
12 of 17 from the field for 33 points. He was 2 of 3 from beyond the arc. Entering the game, he was 3 of 9 from beyond the arc overall in the series, so not the best series from him from beyond the arc. 9 total rebounds. He had 5 assists, only 1 turnover. So between Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, you get a total of 82 points. You get 25 of 36 from the field. You get 5 of 8 from beyond the arc. And the team just can't win. And Matthew, does this kind of remind you like when we played against Denver last year? Like the only way we had a chance was for those two to go nuclear. And even in this case, we couldn't win the game.
No, yeah. I was thinking about that the whole time this was going on. When they had like 30 plus each, I was like, okay, because I think KD hit like 33 like in the fourth early on, and then he kind of stayed there. Booker kept going. I'm like, oh, this is what we need. Of course, Beal did not have a good game today, but we need this to get a victory, to make any kind of impact this playoff series. And then if you want to keep going, you obviously need that. But it's like, dude, that was so painful to get through this game with those guys scoring this much, where it's like, dude, this will not happen again after this game. So like Suns Geek said earlier, it almost looked impossible to do this again the next game and win a game 5 if they did make it that far. His comments too in practice yesterday were it was miserable. The way he kind of acted, he was just kind of slumped down with his hoodie on. It's like, I have not seen that KD all season long. And where they asked who the leader was, he said it was coach. And then we all talk and stuff. That was not good. Obviously, the rumors are that Frank Vogel will probably be let go after the season is over. I can see that happening. Then on Twitter after this game, they showed KD talking to Towns, doing that thing where you put your shirt over your mouth, and they're talking to each other for a good 20 seconds. I'm like, dude, I hate seeing that shit with my team because I'm like, oh, you just know it's bad stuff. Because I want everybody to get along. With all this work out, and you just know things are falling apart. Now KD, who knows what he's saying, if he wants to even be here next year, or if he's talking about Beal, talking about somebody else, or he's just telling us congratulations to Kat. Maybe that's all he's doing. But to me, I'm like, I don't want to see that. Like, I want them to all be happy. But obviously, he gave it his all tonight. He did his Kevin Durant shit this year. It wasn't good enough. Playing alongside Booker, obviously. The pieces around them weren't good enough. But this is not a season or a game where you blame it on Kevin Durant. Obviously, we give him a lot of shit, and we kind of were. I always would have some games with there's a painful watch, difficult shots, why we're going so much at KD up top. But overall, it was a great season by him. He can only do so much at his age right now. But yeah, anyways, I don't know. I'm just kind of like it's so disheartening to see this team fall apart so bad in the end. And then a guy like Kevin Durant who came here and had an introduction, he's like, I haven't done anything yet. And now it's like, oh shit, like, is he just not going to do anything now? Is he going to be gone? Like, it's just kind of miserable.
Yeah, I'm going to echo a lot of what Matthew just said because I'm kind of torn on it in a weird way because Kevin Durant even said it like a couple days ago. Like, yeah, you can give all these inspirational speeches and you can communicate and talk, but at the end of the day, you got to go out and execute. And the one game that we actually executed was the final game of the season, a must-win game in which we did not win. And then that's why it also makes sense why his comments the other day at practice were a little discouraging, if you will. Like he's saying that The coach is the leader. I'm kind of torn on that. I'm like, you're Kevin freaking Durant. Like, you should be one of the leaders. You and Devin Booker should be one of the leaders. But again, I guess I kind of appreciate KD's honesty in a strange way. And again, at least Kevin Durant showed up. That him and Booker did all they could. Is this an Olympics preview that we're about to witness here with him and Book taking over and everything, and Anthony Edwards? But I don't know. It's just the Suns need a leader. They need a veteran. A lot of the conversation this season, I know we've had it on both of our podcasts and channels and everything, is, do the Suns need a point guard? Do the Suns not need a point guard? Obviously, we need a point guard, and we don't even need like a superstar or even an all-star point guard. We just need like a decent quarterback, because I know you guys are football guys. We at least need a decent quarterback out there to calm things down and set up our big three and everything and help control the game. And we did not have that this season, and it definitely hurt us.
Absolutely. And what I found interesting about tonight, it was the first game in this series where I saw emotion from Kevin Durant.
Preach.
Getting a little angry, getting a little flustered, being forced into some small ball 5 situations and performing defensively with block shots and having some ownership of his defense. And his offense was crisp and it was amazing. And you've seen him cross up Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert and hit those backdoor cuts and becoming the easy bucket sniper. He was having a great game. But the lack of emotion from both he and Devin Booker in the first 3 games was very flustering as a fan, especially when you see like Anthony Edwards DXing us the whole series and displaying that raw emotion that Devin Booker once possessed when he played against the Los Angeles Lakers and when Jay Crowder was salsa dancing his way out of Staples Center at the time. And to have Devin Booker and Kevin Durant not give the emotion until this game is the lasting impression that I'll have of this season. And we'll see what happens in this offseason again. But that's what I'm taking away from this is if we need a leader, and Bradley Beal wanted to be that leader, but Bradley Beal can't be that leader. It's just not who he is as a basketball player. He can say the right things, but unfortunately, we saw from him tonight that it wasn't time.
And she said, you're not the only one, but you're the best, Bradley.
Bradley Beal said he had never been swept and wasn't planning on doing it tonight. He ends with 9 total points. He has 6 fouls as he fouls out, 1 of 5 from beyond the arc. The 5 or 6 turnovers, and especially when the game's close at the end, turnover allows Anthony Edwards to blow by him for a posterizing dunk, turnover on the next play, and then fouls out the next defensive possession. It was a horrible sequence of events to occur with under 3 minutes. And you never want to say, well, Bradley Beal cost us the game or the series, but he did not bring in any capacity tonight. And for the guy who this season got paid the most amount of money at $47 million, just unacceptable from Bradley Beal tonight, Matthew.
Yeah, this was very disappointing. So you can go 2 ways. So I don't know if you did see how when he did get ejected, he was running to the bench and he slapped Vogel's hand away, right? Vogel's trying to give him a high five or a little hand slap. He slapped it away, gave everybody else a regular high five, which you don't want to see. Obviously, it's the last game. So it's like, okay, we'll just let it all out. I guess you hate Frank Vogel, but that's the thing like you see from LeBron when he hates his coaches, right? That was hard to watch because it's just like, well, of course it's the coach's thing. He's probably going to be fired, obviously. But just the energy that Beal had tonight fucking frustrated me as all hell. Like, you were here with me that one game where I was watching Kevin Durant the whole game, and he just seemed so frustrated. Today, Beal was just like, he was doing his own thing, man. He had those really bad turnovers at the end of the game, but his emotion was just weird and wonky. And he was there for like the entertainment of just his reactions the whole game. And I just could not stand that. He's always just like, like, like the way he kind of reacts to every call and just like slumps down his shoulders, puts his head down. I could not stand it tonight. He seemed frustrated at himself, maybe at Vogel, at the calls, at the refs, but he was not into the game tonight at all. He definitely was not. And I just want to go down there and be like, dude, what the fuck are you doing, man? Just get your head in the game and we can win this. But he just pulled himself out of it. It seemed like kind of early in the game. And it's either frustration with not getting the ball, getting the shots, when Devin Booker and Kevin Durant are going crazy, or he's just frustrated with the refs. And then he shows it his anger to Frank Vogel leaving the game. And that last foul was bullshit. That was like a Booker foul where he just basically reached over. He got the foul. He knew it was a foul. He got that to get out of the game. And I hated his effort tonight. I hated it. It ruined everything I thought about Bradley Beal going into the playoffs, where I thought he was our best strength in the last 3 or 4 games, defensively, offensively, kind of a leader in a way. Tonight was just, he didn't show that at all.
Yeah, he showed no heart, and it was just rough to watch. I mean, he was taking difficult shots, and I understand because the Wolves are an incredible defensive team, obviously, but just taking bad shots, questionable shots. And there was one, actually kind of 2 possessions where he was like standing in the corner. And then, the Wolves defense kind of forced like the shot clock to expire. So he takes a 3, he misses, and he still stands there. The Suns somehow get the ball back. They dish it back out to him, and he shoots another 3. I'm like, Beal, what are you doing? Like, move around, dude. Like, do something. It was just a discouraging performance. And this goes back to kind of what Matthew and I said earlier in the show. Like, even if the Suns would have won this game, even if Bradley Beal would have had like an epic game like KD and Booker did, it just still wouldn't have mattered. And look, I have credited Bradley Beal so much on his honesty, and I love the honesty because I'm a very honest person too. You and John, Matthew and John, you guys know that, and my fellow Suns geeks, you guys all know that I'm a very honest person. But you're right, John. Like, you can talk all of you want, but you got to go out and execute at the end of the day. And Bradley Beal did not execute, and it's not going to look good this offseason. We're going to see a lot of that during the offseason.
And I think the most unfortunate factor in all of this is the no trade contract or no trade clause in Bradley Beal's contract highly hampers any ability that the Phoenix Suns have to move on from him, because you need a playmaker and a point guard in that position, or you fortify that with a better 3 and you bring in a point guard, because that's, this was a rudderless team throughout the season, and right when it mattered the most, the rudder fell off, and it came in the form of Bradley Beal in this game. You guys want to know what Perk had to say about the Suns?
Sure, yeah. What did he say?
Let's see.
Swept. They got swept. Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker. Swept. One of the biggest disappointments in NBA history, if not the biggest disappointment in NBA history. Ain't no other way around it. And look, Bradley Beal, you don't need to be mad at Frank Vogel. You need to be mad at Anthony Edwards. That's who you should have took your frustration out, because he's the one that's been telling you what he's going to do to you, and he actually did it. To all of y'all, you, KD, and Book, he did it. The man averaged 38. The man averaged 38 at y'all crib. Them 2 games at y'all crib. Walked in their shoes all muddy, standing on furniture, went in y'all refrigerator without asking, fixed them some Kool-Aid, and did whatever he needed to do. Man, look, the Timberwolves is real. Lil 89 Mike, he real. Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy holding it down. That defense is real. Them boys probably going to the Western Conference Finals. Denver, y'all better get ready to strap y'all shoes up. But at the end of the day, here we go again, pointing the finger at Frank Vogel. Pointing the finger at Frank Vogel, because that team been lacking what? All season long? Leadership. They hadn't had one since CP3. And it showed. It showed. But guess who had them? Guess who had a leader? Minnesota. You know his name is? Anthony Edwards. And did it in great fashion. Man, y'all went out sad, man. Cupcakes, creamy in the middle. That was an embarrassment. Carry on.
He's right.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I was just going to say, I don't normally care what Kendrick Perkins and the national media have to say, but unfortunately, he is right. And just like Kevin Durant said about that Anthony Edwards, thing he did on our home floor the other night, when you win, you can do whatever you want. You can say whatever you want. So unfortunately, for the most part, I agree with a lot of what Kendrick Perkins had to say, and that is saying something, because I'm usually a big critic of the national sports media.
Yeah, I can see like the stories coming out too with like Kevin Durant. Like Shams Charania like leaked something right after the game was over, about the big three and their confrontation basically with Frank Vogel, this offense and everything that was going on behind the scenes. I don't know how detailed it is. Obviously, there's a story out there already leaked.
Yeah, it's on the
So you know, like
Athletic.
this team wants to get things going quickly or just separate quickly and go their own ways. But yeah, I understand Bradley Beal's frustration. That's fine. You don't know who to blame, and it's like, do you look for someone to blame, or you just take it for what it is and just hope that ownership knows what the problem really is and where they messed up, and just they can quickly fix it to move on to the next season as quickly as possible.
Perk's 100% right. 100% right. I mean, that's just there's no two ways about it. And if you're a Suns fan, you know that he's right, and you've been watching this train wreck all season, wondering what's wrong and how can it be fixed. And it might start with Frank Vogel. Now, Frank Vogel had Dwayne Rankin asked him before the game today if he felt like his job was in jeopardy, and this is what Vogel had to say.
Status on Grayson for tonight. Oh, okay. Was he able to make any kind of progress at all?
Okay,
yeah,
Grayson didn't play.
You know, he keeps trying. Each time he does some work to test it out, it feels even worse the next day, and so season's not ready to play.
If there's a game 5, do you think he could be ready by then?
Hopefully, but you know, ankle sprains day to day. You know, we'll see.
Okay. Coach, obviously,
here's the question.
You've been talking about, you know, year one, building, you know, year one, learning each other. How confident that you'll get a year 2 to be able to build off of that?
Very.
Okay.
I got full support of that this year.
Okay. Okay.
Coach, obviously.
Yeah, we'll see. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that Vogel's back, or do you think that Vogel's in the unemployment line by Tuesday?
I don't know, man.
I'll just say
I don't know,
this.
Geek. What do you think? I think he's fired, but I don't know.
I'll just
He
say
seemed
this
confident.
because again, you guys are bigger football people than I am. But if there's one thing I do know about football is that coaches always go first. And I do not wish for anybody to lose their job, because I wouldn't want to lose my job tomorrow. But coaches always go first. And I will say this in all fairness to Frank Vogel. I haven't read the article yet. I do have an Athletic subscription, but I just saw the Hoop Central tweet out about this. That you guys remember that like embarrassing Clippers loss that we had on April 9th?
Yeah, the Athletic article goes into that.
Apparently, Suns players, quote, weren't buying it, and it seemed like forced out of character of Frank Vogel. So I'm like, is this really all on Frank Vogel, or is this on our Hollywood players and everything? You know what I mean? Like, clearly there's a disconnect. Clearly there's something wrong in the locker room. You can blame Frank Vogel all you want, but at the end of the day, he's not playing. Just saying. I don't know.
I think that at the end of the day, again, it's an issue that we've recognized throughout the season, that there's an attitude issue, and something was definitely wrong in the locker room because of said attitude issue.
Preach.
That Kevin Durant, as much as we love him as a player, has a very lackadaisical nature about him. That's not wrong. That's just who he is. We don't want him to be anything but what he is, and he's one of the greatest scorers in the history of the game. But his lack of intensity has rubbed off on those around him, Devin Booker being one of them. Devin Booker, who with CP3 by his side, who is an intense player and a hooper just like Kevin Durant, but a much more serious and engaged leader type. Devin Booker personified his teammate. You look at Kevin Durant throughout his career, he was with the Brooklyn Nets with James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and that was highly dysfunctional. When he was with, prior to that, the Golden State Warriors, he didn't need to be the leader. He joined a team that was already NBA champions and had Steph Curry to be the leader off the court, Draymond to be the leader on the court, and Klay Thompson to be the leader defensively. He could just sit and do what he loves to do, which is hoop. And before that, he was with the Oklahoma City Thunder, who did make an NBA Finals appearance, but who was on that team? Russell Westbrook, who was another insanely passionate and alpha type of player. So there's personality issues in this locker room that need to be identified, talked about, and ultimately and hopefully fixed. I don't think it's going to occur. I think that this will be a team that's run it back next year, and we're just going to kind of see how it goes and add some ancillary players along the way, and hopefully they'll complement them appropriately. But I am very interested to read the rest of this Athletic article that I'm kind of skimming as you guys are talking. But it does just say that it's that Phoenix is like a faux pas team. They're a team that tells you what you want to hear. The history of Frank Vogel is just that. One of my friends with SB Nation, who used to work for Silver Screen and Roll, which is the SB Nation site for the Lakers, said the one thing about Frank Vogel is you just can't trust what he says. Man, he's going to tell you exactly what you want to hear, which is fine. That's what a coach does. But it's literally like his entire personality is just telling you bullshit and then doing other things. And whether there's friction between the players because he's just blowing smoke up their ass, or there's friction from the coach because he's trying to motivate players that just don't have any time of day for his coaching. These are the things that have broken this team into the sheer fact that they got swept in the fucking first round. In the first round. And you take a look at it. Well, first, does anybody have any thoughts on anything I just said?
Real quick, just the fact that you said, like, Frank Vogel's trying to motivate players who don't really care. Oh, okay, so then Monty Williams would have worked out too, because that's what Monty Williams did a lot. And I'm trying to skim this article as well, but I cannot let go of that little quote that Shams Charania said, like, Suns players weren't buying it. The outburst seemed forced and out of character in their eyes. And the fact that this story came out less than an hour after we just got eliminated, that is a big problem. That goes far past coaching, far past the players. That is bad. That's going to make us look so bad this offseason. Matthew, what do you think?
Yeah, the biggest takeaway really with Frank Vogel, I really do think they're going to keep the core together. I think this is going to be something where you keep Booker, you keep Frank Vogel, you keep the coaching staff. Obviously, Kevin Young's moving on. Maybe you make some more adjustments and add some other fresh faces. But I do think that James Jones obviously is a guy that was holding on to Mikal Bridges and Cameron Johnson, those draft picks, and not trying to get Kevin Durant. So Matt Ishbia comes here to make the trade. So there's so much loss there. So the frustrating part to me is, of course, if this is a thing where it's an attitude thing and it comes off as Kevin Durant's the guy that just, obviously he's not the leader, but he just rubs off on, you can see Devin Booker, like you said, John. Devin Booker's demeanor changed a lot this year, and maybe that is due to Kevin Durant. It's frustrating to hear. I think a lot of this is frustrating to hear because of how much is given up for this guy. So if that is a thing, that's the last thing you want it to be. Obviously, to me, I don't care if he's on this team next year or not. I don't. I mean, if he's here, awesome. If he's not, awesome. But it's just the fact that we gave up so much for him, obviously, is the part that pisses everybody off. So whatever. I don't even know what else to say about it. It's so weird. This is so fucking strange.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate, as well as the sheer fact that the Phoenix Suns, with this loss in the first round, have literally mirrored history. The 1992-1993 Phoenix Suns went to the NBA Finals and lost to the Chicago Bulls. They then lost the next two postseasons and were eliminated in the second round, both at the hands of the Rockets, mind you. And then they were eliminated in the first round in 95-96. That's exactly what has happened again in Phoenix. We went to the finals in 21. We were eliminated in the second round in both 22 and 23. And we are now out of the playoffs as a result of a first-round elimination sweep in 24. So what this tells me is we will be drafting Steve Nash this offseason. So that's what we did in 96.
We need it. We need some kind of like Nikola Jokic or some kind of player who's late in the draft that can save our franchise. Please,
this is crazy.
Please, NBA gods.
Trying to skip the line and grab some titles, and it lands you back out getting swept in the first round. You're winning two playoff games. Was it 2 playoff games? I'm sorry. Was it 6 playoff games total with Kevin Durant, right?
No. Well, last year there was 12 playoff games because we won the first series in 6 and then we lost the second one in 6.
Okay, my bad.
Yeah, that was Bill Simmons was getting that all wrong the other day. He's like they've only got
because I was like
2.
Yeah, because I thought I was going through my mind and I'm like, wait, hold on, we went to the second round, so
I'll never forgive Bill Simmons for that Devin Booker stuff. I'm sorry. I know you guys love him, but I'll never forgive him.
Oh, I don't love him. I listen to him.
No, I don't. We just listen to him. He's just a voice that you love to hear.
I'll never forgive him for that.
I don't forgive him for a lot of stuff, like Jimmy Kimmel and stuff.
I mean, there were some adjustments in this game, but we didn't win, so I don't really want to talk about them. So
Doesn't
let's,
matter.
for the final time this season, let's talk about what was going on in the subreddit stakeout. The Suns Jam Session subreddit stakeout. Well, hello, Miss Valley Lissy. How are you doing, girlfriend?
What's up, green little bitch? How's it
Hi.
going?
How were you out at the clubs tonight?
No, I was not. I was staying in watching Sex in the City. I didn't watch this game at all.
Oh,
A little stuffed up. It's like the worst. I just want to get this over with so I can take this wig off.
I'm going to prolong this as long as possible so you don't have to take the wig off. Tell me what you saw on the Minnesota Timberwolves subreddit tonight.
Damn, hold on. This is hard to get up and do. I don't know why. Oh, come on. All right. Oh, laugh my ass off. Frank, I already fucked it up. Laugh my ass off. Foster explaining defense of 3 seconds to Booker. That Booker 3 seconds drove me fucking nuts, dude.
Well, just for those who don't know what the fuck's going on, what we do during the games is we hang out on the subreddit of the opposing team to hear what they have to say about our team. It's always good to see what is being perceived about your team from a differing perspective. So here's one. Few things in life are going to be as satisfying as watching KD, Booker, and that unwhipped asshole. What's that?
I'm taking the wig off.
I was in the middle of talking. You didn't need to talk. Now I have to start all over. Few things in life are going to be as satisfying as watching KD, Booker, and that unwiped asshole, Grayson Allen, have all their seasons ended at the same time.
I don't know who this person was talking about, but he said, or she said, you're 7 foot and 800 pounds. Shut the fuck up, you big baby. Who the hell is he talking?
He's probably talking about Yusuf Nurkic.
Oh, probably.
Suns
yeah.
are giving their best and they still suck.
Can we end this series? I hate seeing Booker's face.
Evan baby back bitch Booker, bro.
I want to see Cat smile really big and goofy at the end of this game.
Why does KD always throw out and shake his booty on free throws?
Damn, Booker has such a punchable face. Can we just put these clowns away already?
Booker, nice kidney shot on that screen. Good friend he is.
Last one I had was, because I stopped. If the general public learns your name and as an NBA brother, shut up. I'm done. That was my last one.
Nurkic's nose is so big that he should be the one getting the flagrant for it hitting Daniel's hand. Imagine being as big as Nurkic and still being a pussy. Foster looks like he made a good he would make a good stereotypical prick cop if he weren't a prick ref. Booker throats refs before games. I have zero respect for Booker. Such a shithead. Send Booger to the bench. And lastly, this series has really soured my opinion on Devin Booker. And that, ladies and gentlemen, for the last time for the 2023-2024 season is the subreddit stakeout. The Suns Jam Session subreddit stakeout. Gotta be a lot
Sorry,
of
there
people
was
watching.
movement. There was movement around me. I was not comfortable for that one at all.
Hey, I wore Batman the other day.
Yeah, no, it was funny. I was sitting kind of behind the players' bench earlier before pregame, and Palmer came up. He's like, "Hey," you can't sit over here." I'm like, "Oh fuck, sorry, dude." So I'm like, I don't want something else to happen where like someone says something. So I don't want to have 2 strikes today and just not be able to return next year.
He's like, "Yeah, you're not allowed back here, buddy. Unfortunately, you're getting a little too weird around here." So, real quick, I want to give a shout out to Keith Nettles in the super chat. $50, man. Thank you so much for supporting us.
That's awesome.
All season long and into this off season. Thanks for making this season bearable, Keith says, and stress relieving for us all. You guys and guests are great. Much appreciated. And again, if you're watching along live, please head over to our YouTube channel and give us a thumbs up. We've got $2 from Thrive Alive Joshua. Fire Frank and plus Bronny, LeBron player coach point forward. That's the solution there. We have from Abraham Alacrone, $4.99, says win or lose, Suns for life. Suns for life. Greetings from El Paso, Texas, which is a place I've been. Fort Useless is there, or Eustis. $1.99 from Joe Anderson. Thanks for the great pods. Purple Monkey dishwasher. I don't know what that means, but it sounds funny to me. Oh, man. So anything else that you guys want to talk about this game specifically, or do you want to talk a little bit about the offseason for like the last 10 minutes of the podcast?
Off season.
Let's off season.
Yeah, nothing else on this game. I'm good.
What do we want to talk about with the off season?
Nothing on the off season. I'm good.
All right.
Just joking. I don't know what else to say, really. I mean, I think it's a weird thing because I want to tell you the atmosphere in here when the game was over, there were boos. People were actually throwing their shirts down towards the floor. Did not make it towards the floor, but they're throwing their free shirts in disgust at the Suns. But there were boos. Obviously, the beginning of the game, everyone was booing Frank Vogel. So no one really got into this game till late, maybe 4 minutes into it, where they actually were saying defense. So it's crazy because the atmosphere you go to from 3 years ago in the finals to today, it's total opposite. Obviously,
yeah.
But anyways, that's obvious.
I mean, unfortunately, I haven't been there the last few years, but I will tell you this, man. They need to bring back the real fans. And I'm going to put on my Suns gatekeeper hat here and say that, like, Suns fan gatekeeper hat here anyways, what I'm trying to say. They need to bring back the real fans. Did you guys see that viral video of that guy who was like all cracked out or drunk or on drugs?
What was up with that guy?
Yeah, actually I walked past him on the way back up. Like I was like, what's
yeah,
going on, dude?
Apparently he got carried out on all fours, according to one of my friends. But that's my point, man. Like, they need to bring back the real fans. But I'm sounding like a homer and biased and salty and bitter when I say that, but it's true, man. The arena is super quiet. There were a few times tonight where they got pretty loud, but it's sad that we had to get loud on an elimination game and everything. Bring back the real fans. What was the original question though? Well, like, what are we talking about?
Well, we're trying to find something else to talk about.
Yeah. So real quick, I'll just say this. We're probably both going to be pretty busy, at least for this week, because I feel like there's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to come out.
Yep.
Like this Shams article from The Athletic could probably keep us busy for about a week. Yep. But again, you guys, something that I want to echo that happened at the start of the podcast is that we're both going to be busy on our channels. Like, you know, there still is the off season with the draft, free agency and everything. We're both going to be super, super busy, probably collaborating a lot. And then I know you guys do weekly shows. I try to do my best to do as many live shows as possible. So just strap in. Plus the Olympics, that gives us a little bit of bonus content and things to talk about. Like, I know it's a long off season till like late September, early October, but we're going to have a lot to talk about.
Well, and I will say this, you know, Suns fans, we're obviously right there with you. This is a very subjective podcast that analyzes the Suns purely through a fan's eyes. So we're with you in saying I'm looking forward to not giving a shit about these Suns for a few weeks. I really am. Obviously, being the managing editor of Bright Side of the Sun, I will be covering the team kind of consistently through that lens. So if you want to stay in the loop on what's going on, be sure to check out Bright Side of the Sun. We always have fantastic coverage from both myself and our writing team, which includes Matthew. So we will obviously be doing things there, but I'm looking forward to just not feeling this misery anymore. You know, I found myself at the end of this season and in this postseason without the energy or the words anymore to describe my frustrations with this team, because it was chronic. It was the same thing over and over. It was game 1 and game 2 and game 3 was the same fucking script. It was, we compete for the first half, we fall apart in the third, and we don't have the heart to come back at all in the fourth. Tonight they had some more fight in them, but ultimately what slayed their personal dragon was themselves. The same things that they've had issues with throughout the regular season, the same things that we feared would affect this team in the postseason, and hope that it wouldn't. because when the postseason began just over a week ago, we were filled with so much hope because we know that this team has the talent. That's not an issue with the Phoenix Suns. They have the talent, but they've lacked the cohesiveness. They've lacked the grit. They've lacked the guidance, and they've lacked the leadership this entire season. So trying to put together words, whether it be here on a podcast or via an article on Bright Side of the Sun, have been a challenge because it's regurgitation at its finest and trying to look at it from a different angle, but you are obtuse if you try to look at it through a different angle, because there are so many angles. There are so many things that were wrong with this Phoenix Suns team. So I don't feel this hollowness inside of me like a season when it normally ends. When we lost in the finals, that was gut-wrenching, but we were on borrowed time. It felt like it was amazing just to experience not only the playoffs again, but a run to the finals, something we hadn't done since 93. It was exhilarating. It was something, especially post-pandemic, that was galvanizing and brought us all together as a fan base. In 22, that was the biggest kick in the balls I've ever felt as a Suns fan since the 94, 95 teams that lost to the Rockets in consecutive years in the second round in Game 7. It was just gut-wrenching. Last year was one of failed expectation, but it was also acceptable because we gutted the team at the trade deadline, gave away all of our wing depth for Kevin Durant. And we knew, hey, this isn't going to – if it works, fantastic. But if it doesn't, we understand. 24 has been a year of we don't understand. We don't understand the why. Why did this go wrong? What fucked up? Why can't we be better than we should have been? Next year, we'll probably run it back again because we're out of outs. We don't have many outs. So it will be a cautious fan base that very tentatively dips our toe back into the water when the season comes back around, afraid to slip and fall into quicksand and to drown into the shadows and depression that the Suns can generate when expectation is behind it, because that's what this was. This was a season full of expectation, and it ended in pure and utter embarrassment. Swept in the first fucking round. So I'm happy to put this to close the book on this chapter in Suns history. I'm exhilarated too. And I'm also frustrated because I know that the book that I open up next season is going to be eerily similar. It'll be interesting to see what has changed to get me re-engaged in this team.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how this, like we said, the article came out so quickly where the sweep, it's miserable, but it's like, if this thing's ready to leak, ready to go, you know that they just wanted to end this as quickly as possible. And that's how it looked this series. They fought, and there were some miserable turnovers towards the end, and Bradley Beal just kind of fouling out. They called it quits. They called it quits probably just to end it early to get rid of maybe their head coach, Frank Vogel. That's just disappointing, of course, as a fan, but what can you do, man? And in a season that you are glad that it's over, and you watch other teams on TV today or these playoffs, and you're like, the Suns just do not fit. They have no place or no business being in these playoffs, obviously. So I don't know. I'm done.
First off, John, I want to literally applaud you for every single word you just said, and you too, Matthew, as well. But that was just so well done, so well said. As Monty Williams said, well done and everything. But I can't really top that. But I will just say this, because you guys know me, I'm a content creator, podcaster, whatever you want to call me. It was actually kind of difficult to make videos this year and do live shows because every game felt different. Every game, we did not know what to expect. Even when we were winning and stuff and things were clicking, it was like, oh, well, can we do this next game? And it is just frustrating. And look, I've given a lot of crap to the McHale stands and the Cam stands, you know what I mean? And even the DeAndre Ayton stands, but I kind of get it now. So I'm going to eat crow here. And I've been wrong about a lot of things this season, but us getting eliminated, swept in the first round is a reason why I was wrong on so many things. And I'm not necessarily apologizing here, but I'm just saying I am echoing everything you guys are saying, especially you, John. Just such a disappointing season, and that is an understatement. I went live for an hour and a half the other day, and just said, like, saying the season is an utter failure, whatever words you want to use, whatever word you want to use is an understatement. And it's just, it doesn't feel real yet. But at the same time, John, like, this might sound selfish. Like, I am also ready just to take like at least a week off of Suns basketball, even if it hurts my channel a little bit, like whatever, take a week off, unwind, and then just start focusing on the draft. Because yes, we actually do have a draft pick this year. Hopefully that draft pick can save us.
Fucking kill me. Well, on that note,
draft pick
ladies and jamsters, thank you for your support all season long. Again, it doesn't stop just because the season's over for the Suns. Suns Geek, tell everybody where they can follow you.
Yeah, again, I'm going to say this because I just said it not too long ago, but I really do mean this, you guys. For both of our channels, all of our content, Bright Side of the Sun and everything, we are not going to stop. Like, I'm going to be consistently uploading videos, live shows. You guys are going to be doing a weekly podcast and everything. Great work on Bright Side of the Sun. Seriously, subscribe, follow. We are not going to stop, you guys. Even during the dog days of the NBA offseason, we're still going to be pumping out content. So just search Suns Geek and you'll find me. And seriously, John and Matthew, thank you guys for having me, working with me all season long. It's been incredible.
Hell yeah.
And hopefully next season is a lot better for us.
Matthew, final words.
It might just be laughter.
Fair. You can follow him at Matthew Lissy. You can follow our show at Suns Jam on Twitter and Instagram. You can read my writing at brightsideofthesun.com and follow me at Darth Voida. Chug the rest of that beer, Suns Geek, and Matthew, tell them what they can go do.
Go home, love your family, everybody.
Amen. Take care. We'll see you next week or someday.
Call Suns Jam session, post-game thrill. John and Matthew, podcast skill. Analyzing games with comedic flair. Since 2019, they've been right here. Suns Jam session, post-game pod. Talking Suns ball with the Jamster squad. From the Valley of the Sun, spreading the word. Original podcast, haven't you heard? Subreddit stakeout behind enemy lines. Batman, Valley, Lissy, and Curry combined. Reporting live with jokes to the brain. Adding flavor to the podcast game. Suns Jam session, post-game pod. Talking Suns ball with the Jamster squad. From the Valley of the Sun, spreading the word. Original podcast, haven't you heard? Subreddit stakeout behind enemy lines. Batman, Valley, Lissy, and Kermit combined. Reporting live with jokes to the brain. Added flavor to the podcast game. Suns Jam session, post-game pod. Talking Suns ball with the Jamster squad. From the Valley of the Sun, spreading the word. Original podcast, haven't you heard? Die-hard fans are just passing through. Suns Jam session's got some for you. Lick the eyes to the beats that a bite. With the Suns through the day and the night. After every game, don't miss the beat. Suns Jam session is gonna bring the heat. John and Matthew leading the way in the Suns podcast. Right on, Suns Jam session, post game